Caught the notification.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live here inside the IFL. I'm scheduled to be joined by Mr. Ed Ritter, but Ed's got some situations that come up. So I'm being joined by Mr. Chris Davis, who I woke up out of bed to do this show. So he's doing his part to be a part of this show. So, gentlemen, welcome to Mr. Davis. So, Chris, how you doing?
Doing good, doing good. I did just wake up, but yeah, I'm doing good.
Man, we've pretty much been talking since you rolled out of bed. So I hope you got enough sleep.
Yeah. Looking at right now, that's 12:58. Yeah, I definitely got more than enough sleep.
That's good. All right, we'll let everybody know we're going to do a little prediction show. Mr. Davis has his predictions. I got my predictions. I'm sure Ed had his. Maybe he'll release them on Slack at some point. Or who knows? Maybe he'll get in touch with me and say, hey, I can get in. If anybody wants to make predictions, drop them in the chat. I'm more than willing to mention them. On the back end of this podcast, I'm going to have some breaking news to bring. So by all means, stay tuned for that because you're not going to want to miss that. I think you're all going to enjoy the breaking news more than the predictions. So that's why we're going to get to the predictions faster than slower, sooner than later, as they say. So just to make sure there's no bias in where we go, we're just going to follow the compass. We're going to go north, south, east, west, give our predictions of who's going to win the divisions. I don't know if Davis wants to go who he thinks is going to finish first, second, third, fourth. We're going to do however the hell we want. And then we're going to mention who we think is going to take the conference, who's going to be the wild cards, who's going to play in the Victory Bowl, who will be the champions at the end of the year. So buckle up. It's going to be fun. So, Chris, we're going to start with the North. So I'm just going to let you jump right in this show, and I'm going to go to you first and let you, drop it on everybody where you think the North's going to go.
The team that I really think has the possibility to win the North would probably have to be the Chicago Assassins, because I'm wondering, okay, how are you going to stop three wide receivers, two of them that is gold? I mean, normally on this, most likely, I think the second wide receiver is going to benefit more than the first wide receiver because of, like normally that right side of the field, it's a little bit weaker on that position, on that spot, because teams would normally have a silver or even a bronze or even a copper cornerback. So I think that the second wide receiver is truly going to benefit and is going to help the Chicago Assassins possibly win that division. Now, I could be wrong. It could be just both of them in general just tearing up teams. Now, but other than that, I mean, like, I can't see it being any other team but the Chicago Assassins right now if they play.
I got to say this for you though, because you said the three wide receivers. Yeah, they got a gold, and Macho Fog and Tyrone Goodspeed. Charlie Hogan's the bronze, but Brian Holt is a copper fourth wide receiver.
Yeah.
And
I forgot about that too. So
yeah, and then the other thing is that makes them, I think, a little more dangerous than anybody thinks about, because all they see is the wide receivers. Is they can run some tight formations because they got a fullback as well.
Yeah.
So they bring in Adam Houston, to try and block or carry the ball for Joseph Berry, who, when you look at the Berry's build, they could have went all kinds of directions with him. So that's why when you say Chicago, they're going to be a very, very interesting option. So, and I'll let you finish your thought.
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much said everything that I missed. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot that I had to say because, just those two wide receivers alone is a threat to deal with. I mean, like, I do understand they do have a bronze running back in Joseph Berry, but I don't think he's going to be that much of a factor. Me personally, I don't think it's going to be that much of a factor compared to two wide receivers that are at the goal position.
Oh, I agree with that.
So, everyone has to key in on trying to stop two goal wide receivers. That's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Even with a good secondary, that's easier said than done, especially when you have the quarterback slinging the ball and he's goal. I mean, the Assassins, they're flat out ready for a passing assault. Now, it's a matter of if this will work, because we've seen it last year when it went to the New York Cobras, now we gonna find out if they could do it better than New York Cobras, or if the New York Cobras will still remain that dominant passing team.
Right.
So that's gonna be interesting to see.
Well,
Now, if you want me to think who I think is gonna end up being in second,
okay, go.
I could think that it would be the Green Bay Grizzlies personally, because the Green Bay, it's hard to get out because the thing with this division is like it's so weird. I mean, like everyone's build is not just different, but you also see some glaring weaknesses with all the teams.
Right. That's why this is to me one of the most interesting divisions we have, if not the most. I mean,
Yeah,
look at the owners. Look at the owners. You got the Capones running Chicago. You got Alex Darr with Heath McDaniel running Detroit. You got Thomas W. Goodhart running Green Bay, and Matthew Soper with David Yanez Sr. running Winnipeg. This is 4 brand new owners and all their staff members. There's 2 of them within the rosters. They've never been a coach in the IFL before. So these are all IFL rookies, which means this thing can go in any direction.
that's what I'm saying. Now I could say that it could be the Chicago Assassins, and it could be someone else that we didn't absolutely see coming. Now, second, I'm gonna say it's the Green Bay Grizzlies. I do like their build. The gold cornerback is really gonna kick in. The defensive tackle, if they know how to use it right, then they got it. But the defensive tackle right now raises a lot of questions on why didn't they go for different position. And of course, the outside linebacker, if he plays like a good run stuffer, or if he plays as a good coverage linebacker, then that's a pretty solid job for picking a goal outside linebacker.
Right.
The silver, their whole silvers list is not bad either. I do like the silvers list with Isaac Fulmer, Turtle Jackson, Shad Power, and Kenny Cleveland. Now I'm wondering how they're gonna use the running back and mainly the running back. I mean, because it's not likely for me that I would see. Well, I see some silver running backs thrive, but it kind of depends on the scheme. Like it's mostly a spread scheme. So it's interesting to see how they're gonna do when it's more of a West Coast pro style offense, because that's what it's leaning towards when I look at this, because they do have 2 wide receivers in Isaac Fulmer and Connor Justice, and of course Thomas W. Goodhart. So I
Right.
wonder how this is gonna be done.
Well, I'm gonna throw a
Yeah.
whole monkey wrench into all this real quick.
They also have a defensive end, which is interesting at the copper position. So
Yeah.
they not only have a defensive tackle there, but they have a defensive end to try and take the pressure off or to try to benefit
Chicago
from where
or
the Green
Green
Bay.
Bay rather. Green Bay clearly went with a defensive style build,
They really did.
in my opinion. I mean, their entire copper core is all defense. But you mentioned Green Bay. You mentioned Chicago's your 1-2. Before we ever did this podcast, my prediction for this division at the time was Chicago. I've since, and I haven't announced this, and this is where I'm going to announce this for the first time. I'm going away from my Chicago prediction. I'm not picking Chicago to win this division anymore. After talking with the owners, talking with staff members, seeing their bills, seeing the way they set things up, knowing what they're doing, I'm taking a team that no one has mentioned.
Winnipeg, isn't it?
I'm taking Winnipeg to win this division.
Yep. Yeah. That was the first thing that came to my head too, was Winnipeg. I mean, honestly, their third. Honestly, I can't even say they're third. It's actually tied between the Grizzlies and the Winnipeg Crusaders. Now that I look at the two, if Matthew can do it correctly, because I know he's going to be doing the offense, and David Yan Senior is going to be doing the defense. So it's a matter of how this is going to be done.
I
But
see.
their build is very, very good. The only thing questionable about this build is they have no running back whatsoever. So everybody knows they're gonna be passing the ball. There's no way you're gonna tell me they're not passing the ball. Actually, no. Actually, I'm sorry. They do have a running back. I'm tripping.
Yeah,
I'm
Herschel.
gonna say I'm tripping because I was thinking of a team that didn't go over running back, and they just absolutely fell flat on their face because they was passing the ball every time.
Herschel Mann is a gold runner, but that's where I'm going to go.
But they also have silver wide receivers. There's silver wide receivers is something to
Right.
look at. A gold wide receiver throwing, a gold quarterback throwing to silver wide receivers. I mean, that's deadly if they can use it right. The defensive end is the only questionable spot right along. Like I said, for me at this point, unless you know how to use defensive linemen correctly, defensive ends and defensive tackles is the only thing that's questionable.
Right. So here's why I picked them mostly. I've beat it like a dead horse. I firmly believe a gold strong safety is a monster in this league. They got that. If you talk to Mr. Chisholm, he'll preach to you that a gold quarterback is the way to go.
We'll find out.
And if people don't agree with the gold quarterback, they say it's a gold running back. Well, guess what? Winnipeg's got both. So they've covered both areas. So whether one's right or one's wrong, they've covered both criteria to go along with that strong safety. And then, like you said, the double silver wide receivers, I like. They got the corner there. Now, like you said, the defensive end could be a question mark. We'll see what happens there. But for me, I prefer the defensive end more than I prefer the copper or the bronze kicker. But I've seen in this game teams lose because of field position and not being able to get those 3 points. And the one thing the IFL has that makes us so special is if your guy's a kicker, he's the punter. So they've got the ability to win the field position battle with Bacon at bronze and also with Bacon kicking the field goals. And then to finish out those bronze, it's 3 more defensive players, another corner, another free safety, and inside linebacker. And then they got the double outside linebackers at copper with their tight end. So when you look at this and see where they broke this team down and where it's all at, the build is a little curious in the back end. The front end is just magnificent. I like it. So that's why I'm going with them. So the one team neither one of us really mentioned was Detroit. And I know the one reason neither one of us picked Detroit is when you don't have a corner on your team, it scares you to pick them as a winner of a division. I think they're going to win games because I think Duncan is going to be the guy like he was last year. And the one thing that hasn't really been brought to anybody's attention with Detroit is Duncan Northrup and Johnny Frost, who were your backfield in Philadelphia last year and were so amazing. Both of those guys are now in Detroit. Can Dar and McDaniel pound the ball like Philadelphia did? That'll be remain to be seen. But you got Kyle Walsh, who's a gold wide receiver, which helps pick up the difference if they can't pound the ball. And then Jack Dart, outside linebacker. And I've seen gold linebackers dominate, but I've also seen bronze linebackers dominate. So could this been a reach at being a gold? So it becomes a question mark. So I'm still not going to count Detroit out. I'm hoping these two being Dar and McDaniel, thought of something and found something. They said, you know what? We ain't got to go with a corner because here's what we're going to do. We're going to put a defensive end out there in Barrett Riley Harrison. We're going to put a defensive tackle out there in Lincoln Fox. We're going to beast up our linebacker by getting a gold. We're going to put so much pressure on the quarterbacks. We're going to dominate games that our secondary doesn't have to be so damn good.
See, that's gonna be the problem right there. That's putting too much pressure on your front seven to do it. See, this is like an actual NFL situation here. You know, where a team just absolutely their weakest spot is at corners and they're most like dangerous up front. Now they're gonna have to be constantly blitzing every down. There's no way they're not going to blitz. If they don't blitz every down, their cornerbacks are screwed. So it's like, you know, that's the only way I can see this build working because not having any cornerbacks and you're going up against tier wide receivers in the bronze, silver, and especially gold position. If that front seven don't get to the quarterback in time, they will get fried. Make no mistake about it. So that's putting it in a blunt and harsh manner that I know Alex knows it will happen if they don't get pressure.
Right.
And I understand he might not want to hear from me, but you might see it from your team in preseason in a matter of either today or in a matter of later today, something like that, because that's not looking good. Not investing in a gold cornerback, not investing in any cornerback. I mean, that's risky. That's why it's hard to pick the Denver. It's hard to pick the Detroit Hawks as a winner right now.
Right.
So I hope it all works out. I hope he knows what he's doing
Right.
because if this whole thing doesn't work out, then you gotta go back to the drawing board and look at the main issue that you have with this bill. Now that's silver fullback. If that doesn't work out, that could have been converted over to a cornerback. If the defensive tackle doesn't work out, that could have been converted over to a cornerback. That's two spots right there. That's questionable, in my personal opinion. That I hope he's put a lot of time in. That's two spots right there that could have been used at the cornerback position. Now, you did say he took Johnny Frost and he took Duncan Northrup and he's trying to use them right. The thing with last year's build with me is I still had cornerbacks on the team.
Right.
I mean, you got to have a cornerback.
Now, Mighty's in the chat room, and Mighty makes a statement of, you can't blitz with no corners.
No. I'm talking about with the outside linebackers, inside linebackers. Somebody block that person. I'm talking about with the outside linebackers, inside linebackers, period. Because that's your strongest position right there. That's it.
Right.
If you can't get pressure with those guys, then you're screwed. Also, I'm saying, can you block Carol Swift because it's basically a spam. So other than that, I mean, like I hope that it all works out. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
not having any cornerbacks, you better pray that you better pray that front seven get to the quarterback.
we're about ready to go to the South. As we get ready to go to the South, I'm going to mention to the chat room. If any of you guys want to drop your predictions for the North, go ahead and drop it, and I'll mention it here on the air.
Yeah, it's best to do it now because as soon as we move on, I mean that's it.
Mighty says you want to hide the corners, not expose them.
But how can you hide the cornerbacks when you have a goal wide receiver flat out torching them? You know what's gonna happen.
Well, it'll be interesting when Detroit plays Chicago.
I mean, all they gotta do is really. It's gonna get worse when they do a fade route because as soon as they do the fade, they get a little bit of a speed burst coming off the release. So it's like, it's like how is this gonna work out? That's my biggest question. And you say that use a safety. Well, their safeties are silver. That's all well and good. You also have another free safety. I don't see a strong safety too, do I? No, don't I? I don't see a strong safety
Yeah,
unless they're moving one of those
they
safeties or free safeties over to strong
yeah.
safety.
James Smith was originally supposed to be a free safety. They have since moved him to strong safety, and Shark Harris at Copper will remain a free safety.
You know what that position? Oh my god, that's potentially not good. That's potentially not good because you have a copper and you have a generic on the left side of the field for the defense. That's where the goal wide receiver is going to be lined up.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So they
Detroit
could
takes him to
potentially hit you with
Chicago.
fade, and their guys is not going. It's not guys not going to be able to get there in time. So it's like like I said, there's a reason why nobody said Detroit. Not having those cornerbacks is going to hurt them.
And it freaks people out. All right. So we can move on with this show. We're going to go to the South. Like I said, we'll go by the. So we took the North, which is out of the Pacific. Now we're going to go to the Atlantic Conference. Take the South, which is Atlanta Rhinos, the Dallas Wranglers, the Nashville Nightmares, and the Tampa Bay Stallions. This is another interesting division because you got three rookie owners and Jax Diamond returning as the Stallions owner. So, just like we did with the North, I'll defer to you first and see what you think about this division because I know this division is interesting because the builds, I like all four builds. I can make arguments, honestly, for all four teams here. But does Jax Diamond and the Stallions get the nod by most people because of the experience?
I will probably say yes. Oh yeah, I'll most likely say yes. I think they will get the nod because of the experience. Because I think Jack's gonna go to you for tips on how to handle that tight end. Because I tell you what, that tight end and quarterback right there, if he uses them correct, then we got ourselves a Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski situation. I mean, like Punky, not even that. Because isn't Punky like 6'2", something like that. He's like 220, 215, 230. Isn't he around that? Because if he's around that, then that motherfucker could end up being Antonio Gates or Tony Gonzalez, who do the route running. Now,
What?
if he could be used like that, if he could be used in that kind of situation where he'll play like a Tony Gonzalez
Okay.
kind of tight end, then that'll be interesting to see how the tight end is going to be used.
Punky Streets is 6'6", 252.
Okay, then yeah, that's more or less like mini Gronkowski. I'll take it like that. But yeah, it's just a matter of how that tight end is going to be used. Now, that's the biggest question that was heading in last season when he had two gold tight ends. It's still going to be the same question right now with one gold tight end. How are you going to use it? Now, he does have two wide receivers. That'll be interesting to see how this is going to go because I'm pretty sure he spent a lot of time in the offseason figuring out, okay, what can he do to make his offense even more dangerous without sacrificing too much on the defensive side. And I'm pretty sure this is what he's done.
Right. I mean, look at what he did. He had two gold tight ends last year, which was crazy. He got rid of one and replaced him with that gold quarterback in Joe Britt.
Yep. Now, I will say what makes this very interesting is obviously this is going to be a two wide receiver, one tight end set like most of the game has. The only thing that's going to make me wonder is how is Alan Magnum going to fit in this scheme because he's a bronze guy. Now they could have made it. They could have actually made him a silver. They could have swapped out the inside linebacker and made him a bronze. But hey, that's their build. They'll do what they want. But I just find it interesting on how it's done. How are these running backs that are not gold gonna factor in this season? Because most of the time you'll find guys that are not gold. They're really gonna get stopped in the backfield more often than not. I mean, that happens with golds too, but golds they'll tend to get a little bit more yards, like 3, 4, 5 yards, and they'll even break off.
Right. Now, my
So
most interesting thing with Tampa Bay is their coppers. They went with 3 linemen.
now that'll definitely be interesting to see how that'll go. I mean, they could go ahead. I mean, he could. I think you pretty much already know. They're all gonna have pass rush on them. So, just a matter of how is this gonna be done. I mean, like, who's gonna get to the quarterback first? Can they get to the quarterback? Will be my biggest question. They'll definitely make me notice if they make 3 defensive linemen work at the copper position then it's going to raise the question of is a bronze, silver, or gold defensive lineman even worth it? Because you could use it for another position instead.
Right. Now, you see their 3 linemen, James Thomas, Jonas Johansson, and Billy Battle. I want to touch on the 3 of them. Like I said, that's a defensive tackle, then 2 defensive ends. Their defensive ends, James Thomas is 6'7", 281, and Jonas Johansson is 6'7", 278. And then Billy Battle is 6'7", 357. This is 3 linemen. They're all 6'7".
Yep. So they're gonna try and bat the ball down too. I mean, if they can't get to the quarterback, the least they can do is put their hands up and bat the ball down.
Right. So I just find that interesting. Listening, dude, wow, I don't even know where to go with that. But I know they put some money into the defensive line, obviously, with getting 3 linemen. And then they, like I said, they got the linebacker. They got the inside linebacker. They got an outside linebacker. Both their corners are bronze, which doesn't scare me too much. Got the strong safety at silver. Got the gold free safety. So I think the secondary is going to be okay because they paid heavy on safeties.
Yep.
So it's an overall interesting build, But when I look over these teams, when I really look over these teams, I'm sitting there trying to figure out where I want to go, who I want to pick. And I've been debating for weeks now. Am I going with the father or am I going with the son? And that being Charlie Monk and DW6 Killer. I think one of these two is going to win this division over Tampa Bay because I think Tampa Bay has doomed themselves when they changed their uniforms to the Cleveland Browns look.
Are you serious?
In all honesty, I think the gold tight end hurts Tampa Bay because I know how difficult it is to use a tight end. And if you don't know how to use it, you're wasting it. And last year they did struggle with it. and he had 2 of them and couldn't get it to work. Now he eliminates half his options. I just think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, and I hope it works because I'd love to see it work. I'd love for us to have that type of tight end that everybody steps back and go, damn, that's the guy to have.
But I can't lie though. I do like the Atlanta Rhinos build. I can't even sit there and lie. The only thing that's the biggest question heading in is that they're running a 3-4. So
Right.
how is this 3-4 gonna work? How are they gonna make it work?
And
I
that's
mean,
where
right along
Ed
with
was on it.
Boston, right along with Boston, it makes you wonder how they're gonna work because if it does not work out, it's gonna be a big problem.
That's where if Ed joined me on the air, you're going to hear a debate over this because I'd have said, right, what you just said. This is why I went with Dallas. This is why I'm picking Dallas to win the South because the 3-4 scares me. I'm not a fan of it. I don't think it's as effective as some people think. But to Ed's credit, he's proved it's more effective than people think. And it's the classic case of if you know what you're doing, it can work. And I've seen Ed make it work. But when the case of Dallas, they got the gold quarterback. They got the gold strong safety, which is I'm a huge fan of. The silver is defensive loaded with a corner, a free safety, and inside linebacker. Then they got their second wide receiver in Calvin Corbett. Now here's the issue. Justin Beakley Jr. is their running back at bronze. Will that or will it not hurt them with him being that far down as far as bronze? But we've seen plenty of owners and plenty of teams make lower tier running backs work. And I think when you got a gold wide receiver and a silver wide receiver going with the gold quarterback, your running back don't have to do as much. So I think it's going to make up for it. I'm picking Dallas to win this division. And I'm not going to be surprised, though. Like I said, I'm going to say it now. Any one of these 4 teams win the division, I won't be shocked. But I just prefer Dallas's build over the other 3. So that's where I went with Dallas after further consideration, looking over everything and taking all. I'm not going to pick a guy because he's owner last year and all that things out. I want to just base it off real information. And I'm going with the Wranglers here in the South.
Okay. I can't necessarily blame you there. I mean, like I said, the only issue that I have is that 3-4. I mean, I love their build, but look, unless if Ed and DW6 could actually work together to make the 3-4 a little bit more effective together, which it wouldn't surprise me if they did.
Right.
So, but yeah, unless if they did something like that, then I really cannot see it being as effective as they're trying to make it.
Well, the 3-4.
Because, like I said, the problem with the 3-4 is the way how the linebacker starts out when they're trying to actually do a pass rush. They'll start out a second slower than a defensive end would. See, now if they would have went with, this is just me. Now, since they want to try and do some coverage or something like that, they want to try and rush the passer. They're going to have to do that in the 3-4. They could have went with 2 defensive ends.
Right. Well, like, take a look at this aspect with them. It's a 3-4. We're worried about the 3-4. All 4 of their linebackers are bronze. All 4 are bronze. And like I said, they got the gold corner, silver for the strong safety. And then they got their free safety at copper. I'm not sure I like my free safety at copper either.
Yeah, that's questionable.
But the 4 linebackers are key, in my opinion, to making a 3-4 work. And they're all bronze.
Well, it's the same way how it is with Ed for what I said. I mean, when he was on here, I literally said that you have to have these guys on the field at all times. You need to find a way to have them on the field at all times. There's going to be a problem if you're going to be dealing with a spread team. Now, it will happen this season. You're going to be dealing with at least 2-3 spread teams. They will spread the ball on you, and if you have your 3-4 out there, then you better pray that those linebackers can cover quick, because if they can't, you're leaving people open.
I want to cover Tank Sherman. We mentioned him before in podcast. 6'6", 261, outside linebacker for the Rhinos. It's going to be no secret, so it's not like I'm giving inside information.
He's rushing. He's pass rushing.
We're going to see it from week 1. Not only is he going to be a 3-4 linebacker for this team, but he will be their return man.
What?
Tank Sherman, 6'6", 251, or 61 rather. When his build was submitted, he had closing speed, run coverage, coverage bonus, speed burner, return specialist, and quick feet for an outside linebacker. The DW6 killer has chosen return specialist as one of those abilities. Therefore, this guy will be the returns man. And with his size and his build, he's going to have the ability, I think, to return the ball. But Mighty touched on this before in the podcast. He's going to be just interested to sit back and count how many times this guy fumbles.
That's what I'm saying. Yo, I hope you're ready for that because I'm seeing a lot of fumbles potentially happening already. I mean, if I could look up a rating on the secure ball bonus, if I could just look that up now, it will not look good. I mean, like unless you have a wide receiver, and even they fumble the ball at times. You see it with safeties. I mean, we saw it last season. They was fumbling the ball at times. I mean, with an outside linebacker, I'm expecting them to fumble the ball more often than not.
Well, one of our better return guys last year was Tank Tatum, ironically enough, named Tank, for the Outlaws. He had, I think, 4 or 5 fumbles last year, and he was
That's
one of the actual better return guys.
that's what I'm saying.
But he fumbled the ball. And
So
Mighty basically saying the over under for this guy is going to be 6 fumbles. I would not. I'm gonna take the over.
I'm taking over.
I would not be surprised Tank Sherman fumbles the ball once a game. I really wouldn't. Yeah, I really would. Wow.
Yeah, I'm taking over.
So, just to do a quick recap now, we say in the North, I took Winnipeg, and you took Chicago. And in the
Yep.
South, I'm taking Dallas, and your official pick is who? Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay due to experience. Now, if they know how to if they can use the goal tight end right, they got it. But let's be honest, even if they don't use the goal tight end correctly, they still have 2 wide receivers that you have to look at. I mean, Mike Speed, who's the guy I created, he's definitely someone you're gonna have to keep your eye on, and he's gonna be at the second wide receiver spot, potentially second wide receiver spot.
Right.
So, if it doesn't work out, it's not really a lost cause. It's a matter of how they're gonna, make it work with streets. So
Right. Well, we're going to go into the East. Where you got the Baltimore Bulls, you got the Boston Liberty, you got the New York Cobras, and you got the Philadelphia Flight. Now, before I even get into making a prediction, I do want to touch on New York really quick, and that is New York is the only team within this division that does not have any type of coordinator. It's just the owner himself. Just the owner. Philadelphia's got Cody Ewing at defensive coordinator. The Liberty have Ed Ritter, defensive coordinator, and the Baltimore Bulls have Max Paul, which is Mighty RX, at defensive coordinator. So 3 of the 4 teams have coordinators at the defensive side of the ball. The only guy by himself is going to be Taco, Mr. Robert Bose. I find that interesting. So just keep that in mind when we go through these teams when it comes to making predictions. Now, when we get to these 4 teams, here's what I'll have to say about all 4 teams. New York started out last season one of the hottest teams in the league, and they looked like they were going to be one of the teams to beat. Freaked out over their interceptions, made some changes, were never the same team again, and ended up finishing last. So one thing we do know is they have the capability to win. They have the capability to dominate. And the question is, can they do it? They've made major changes to that team, and we can get into that when we cover them. Boston, they made one hell of a run last year and were able to jump in the playoffs. And that run they made was absolutely ridiculous. It's going to go down, I think, we just started this league, and I think when we look back in 10 seasons, we're going to remember that run that Boston made to get in the playoffs last year. Everybody knows the situation with Philadelphia last year. We don't even have to get into it. But they were one of the teams that were a championship contender. And then things went south for that team. And then Baltimore made it to the championship. They got to the game against the Outlaws. And they were the team to beat all season long, outside of Arizona. And they proved it with their record. They did well. They've also made some minor changes to their lineup. And the biggest one to me is TJ Spears moving from safety to corner. That caught me off guard when they made that move. And Eric Dorsey will now be the new safety at bronze, which is a head scratcher for me. But knowing the experience TJ and Max have, I'm not going to sit there and scratch my head saying they're dumb. I'm going to scratch my head and say, what do they know that I don't? Because their experience tells me they got to figure something out. So I'm pretty sure you can pretty much echo everything I just said as far as those 4 teams go. Now, when I got to sit here and make the predictions on where I'm going to go and where I'm not going to go,
I actually want you to go ahead with this one before you.
I figured I'd do this one first since this is your division.
Yeah.
I like a lot that I see out of Boston, but I can't pick Boston just because the 3-4 scares me. The 3-4 scares me. And like you said a little bit ago, it's hard to keep all four linebackers on the field. And when they got an inside and an outside at gold and an inside and an outside at silver, at one point or another, they're going to lose a top tier level linebacker, depending on the formation, which I'm not feeling that, but they might know something, so I'm not going to knock them, and what have you. They went with the two guards. I don't know how well that's going to work. That's going to be interesting. Uh, who knows? Two guards with Ernie Clapper at gold. Maybe that's their whole goal is to pound the rock all day, eat the clock, and not have the defense on the field so much, and it could work out. But build itself freaks me out. Now, Cobras. Uh, they made a trade for C.J. Coates, which was interesting, considering he came from Tokyo and he was very good in Tokyo. They got strong safety and Peyton Chiz. I like that. They got the quarterback. They moved their receivers from gold to silver this year. And Theo Flood is the new running back, and he's very small. He's only 5'7". So their overall build is questionable for me. They got two defensive linemen. Danger Moon was an absolute beast last year, and he comes back and returns to the team at Copper like he was last year. So,
which is exactly what I'm referring to.
so
Exactly what I referred to.
I mean, he had the one game. Danger Moon, I think, had 6 or 7 sacks in one damn game.
He's a goddamn copper.
So as
By
a
the way, I'm
Copper,
hearing myself
now remember that was Mark Chisholm running that defense. Does Taco know how to utilize him the same way? Well, it remains to be seen. We'll see that. We'll figure that out soon enough. So there's some question marks when it comes to New York. So it leaves me with Philadelphia, and it leaves me with Baltimore. This is clearly where I've been going back and forth because I can make a case for both teams. Philadelphia brings in Dick Dawkins at strong safety, a new player to the league. Love the build, love the position at gold. Huge fan of it. Back it up with GT Williams at corner, which I think is like, hey, don't mess with our secondary. Oh, and by the way, we got Nick Samuel sitting there at safety. Or I'm sorry, cornerback at silver. So I like that. And then the only thing in question for Philadelphia that bothered me was King Cannon being at bronze. I wasn't sure where that came from, how that came about, and I'm sure you could touch on it here in a little bit. So that was one thing that scared me and backed me off. So I was like, oh, let me look at Baltimore. Well, Baltimore's got a silver quarterback. Okay, so when I looked over him again, I was like, wait a minute. New York's got the gold quarterback. Boston's also got a silver quarterback. So there's only one gold quarterback in this division, and it's New York. But I still couldn't pick them. And I'm going with this based on experience and based on overall build. Even though they moved their strong safety to corner, I am picking the Bulls to repeat in this division. And I do think they're the one to beat. And I say it now, if they're not them, my money was on Philadelphia. So, but I'm taking Baltimore to take the East.
Okay. By the way, I hear myself echo. Like I hear myself exactly. So
I
it has something to do with you.
have no idea.
You sure?
Who knows? I'll mute it and see if it goes away. Go ahead. You can talk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine now. A little bit fine. But I'm gonna go with it unbiasedly, and I'm actually gonna say the same thing. Unbiasedly, I'm gonna say TJ because he kept the same build that he did last year, and there's absolutely no problem with it. I mean, that's the build that sent you to the championship. So it's the same thing with the Arizona Outlaws, which I'm pretty sure we're gonna touch into by the time we're finished talking about the East. Um, there's absolutely no problem with sticking to the build that got you there. It's just a matter of how it's going to be done for you to win the whole thing. So, I mean, like it was only one game. It's not going to be the same thing. I mean, like it's not like you can't just bounce back and potentially win it all the next year, which is exactly what Baltimore's trying to do. But unbiasedly, well, that's unbiasedly. Biasedly, I'm obviously gonna say me. I mean, like I literally had a whole off season to prepare and think about what I wanted to do, what build I wanted this off season. And this was the exact build that I felt like it was worth going for. So of course I'm gonna have Dick Dawkins looking over the right side, potentially the middle of the field, and of course I'm gonna have GT Williams lock down, or at least try to lock down the entire left side of the field. Where every time he goes up against a goal wide receiver or even a silver wide receiver. So I plan on him doing that. Now the reason why I went with King Ken at bronze, but also I'm gonna go and let you guys know the little truth here. Truth be told, I was actually trying to move him at silver. I was trying to move him at silver at one point, but then I got denied for that. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just stick with him at bronze and do what I can from there. But the reason why I stick with him, the reason why I put him at bronze was because um I like it so that you're in a spread scheme. Mostly what everybody's gonna be thinking of is you going deep passes, deep the middle of the pass or short middle of the field passes. I'm not gonna do that because I'm gonna try to make sure that my quarterback benefits from short to medium passes. That's what every quarterback should be trying to thrive off of anyway. Is short to medium passes. You try and go deep passes, you run the risk of getting an interception most of the time. So the offense, I'm still gonna keep I'm still gonna keep the running back. Make no mistake about it. Obviously, I'm still keeping the running back. I'm gonna put in two wide receivers. Now, last year, you guys saw me go with two tight ends and a bronze wide receiver. Well, instead, this is basically what I did. I basically cut off the two tight ends and just put two wide receivers there. There's not much of a difference from there. So, other than that, I think it's gonna be my build. I think it's gonna be my team that's gonna get me there this year. Biasly. Now, the only toughest matchup that's in my way is obviously TJ, and I know that the Philadelphia and Baltimore games, that's going to be a game to look at. That's going to be a game to really look at as a potential game of the year, if not game of the year, a rivalry that's going to be there for for years and years to come. So I know TJ. He's gonna bring the heat every year, and I'm actually ready to step up to the plate too. Now, the one questionable build I will say is outside of Boston is actually going to be New York because I'm wondering, well, what's Robert gonna do? This season. Is he gonna actually ignore the people this year? I'm sorry, my phone's going off. Is he actually going to ignore the people this year, and is he still trying to go off his deep passing attack, or is he actually playing something a little bit more different? Is he playing nearly the same thing that I'm planning? So that's the one thing that I'm kind of skeptical on. So other than that, this entire East Division, it's competitive. You could pretty much say 3 out of the 4 teams could potentially take the whole division and potentially go all the way this year. you know, out of this entire Atlantic Conference. I mean, like, no disrespect to the South, but if you had to go with the East versus the South, I mean, pretty much the mass majority will tell you that the East is pretty much going to be the most competitive and probably be the most toughest division out of the entire conference, potentially out of the entire league. So, it's a coin toss. Who you think is gonna win it? Everyone is saying Baltimore due to experience, but experience can only get you so far. So we'll find out what's gonna happen come this season. Hopefully Doug is still here. Hopefully he unmuted himself. See, I'm seeing problems saying that they have a tough role. Saying they have a clear role. I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that. I'm telling you.
Yes, I'm officially unmuted now.
Yep.
Yeah. So sitting here actually trying to speak, wondering why I'm muted. I don't know. But
You're fine now.
yeah.
By the way, I don't hear myself echo anymore. So that's a good thing.
I don't know what it was. So yeah, I'm just listening to everything you had to say there. It's gonna be interesting. It's a shame we got as we was referred to, the dairy cows. And bulls don't produce milk, which these guys just got me dying over here.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, which is kind of fucking. But yeah, go ahead.
I'm just like, wow. But these guys, okay, what the hell? And non-castrated. All right.
Oh, please talk about something else, please.
TJ done lost his mind. But yeah, like I said, listen to everything you had to say. I can see where all them thoughts and everything are coming from, and that's one of the things I'm going to be very interested with this particular division because this is the division to me that's the most up in the air. Because to me, this division more than any of them could go in any direction, more so than the North. So I just think it's going to be an interesting division. It's going to be interesting. And by the way, I do want to touch. Don't forget who your wild cards are going to be in your head, so we can get to that then as well here on the back end of this episode. So, but I'm picking the Bulls, and you're picking who to be straight, so everybody understood that.
Unbiasedly is the Bulls. Biasedly it's me.
So this is the first time we both picked the same team. All right. So now we're gonna move on to the West, which is gonna be an interesting division, to say the least. Uh, and in this division, you've got the defending champions, the Arizona Outlaws.
That's gonna be tough to deal with that alone. I mean, just with that alone, that's gonna be tough to deal with.
You've got the Denver Yeti, which is run by Mr. Mark Chisholm. And by the way, the Outlaws are Stevie T. Diggs and Mario Savage. The San Diego Bulldogs, which is Marcus Bose. And the Tokyo Kitsune, which is Ramos Lin. And I could go all over the place with this damn thing. So, since you did the first two and I did the last one, I'll do this one first as well. Here's some of the things that stood out for me. And I'm going to go with Tokyo first. The double corners at gold. I don't know about that. I'm kind of questionable about that. I'm not 100% sold on that. But at the same time, if someone like Ramos is doing it, I'm willing to watch and say, what do you know that I don't? Before I jump to too much conclusions. The running back at gold is a switch for him. So I like that. He's also got his special teamer at bronze. So that's interesting. James Dubsett is at bronze, and he played well last year, so that does not bother me. The double silver wide receivers, both safeties are at silver. It's an overall interesting build. He's got the defensive tackle at copper, linebacker down there, another corner. So he's got three corners, which also stood out to me. So Tokyo's interesting. I'm going to San Diego now. I love the gold strong safety. So my son clearly was listening to me and the things I had to say as far as strong safeties goes. The gold quarterback. Then's got the gold wide receiver, which I think is huge. Double silver corners, a silver running back. Overall, this is a good build, I think. The one thing I found interesting was two free safeties. How much nickel and dime does he plan on running? And then he's got the fullback at copper. So what did he learn last year being the offensive coordinator for Boston that made him say, you know what, I need a fullback for my running back this year? So that's the only thing that went through my head. So I find that interesting.
I can see it being for blocking
Right.
situations.
So,
I'm still hearing
and
myself
then,
echo.
and
So I'm
then
gonna shut up now.
yeah, moving to Denver, they got the gold quarterback, the gold corner, the gold running back, double silver wide receivers, a silver defensive tackle, silver corner, outside linebacker, tight end. Both safeties are at bronze. Now, for me personally, my safety would at least one of my safeties would at least been silver. And if I wanted that defensive lineman, he'd have been bronze. But that's what the joy of this is. Everybody has their own philosophy and strategy. Got another defensive end or defensive lineman, which is a defensive end at copper with an inside and outside linebacker. Overall, interesting build because they really loaded up with the defense there on the back end. The only guy they have on offense from bronze and copper is the tight end. Everything else is defense. So, it's pretty much loaded up. And then there's not much to really talk about with Arizona because it's precisely the exact same build for the most part that they had last year. The only minor changes are since we went with a third gold, Mario Savage got bumped up from silver to gold. And then down at copper, instead of carrying the extra free safety and the third wide receiver, they've gone with two defensive linemen. Does that allow that defense, which was the best in the league last year statistically, they add pressure up front maybe? Do they know what they're doing with these linemen? Is it going to be irrelevant? Does it make not much difference because you're getting rid of a free safety and a wide receiver? It's going to be interesting. And I ask this, until they get beat, how do you not pick them, considering they went, 15-1 last year, counting the playoff game and the championship game? So until Arizona can be beaten on a regular basis, how do you not pick them? That's all I'm asking. And I will mute in case there's another echo.
Yeah, there actually is another echo. Um, I mean, you pretty much touched on everything I said. I mean, if any team that can potentially have the opportunity to even have a chance to overthrow the Outlaws, it has to be the Kitsune due to experience. They were not even experience. They're the only team that did it last year, and we don't even know how the fuck they did it. So, you know, if anything, hopefully Ramos knows what he's doing with these two cornerback builds. I do see a lot of man coverage going on. I can see that happening already with Ramos. He's going to try to mix it up with man coverage and zone coverage. There's a lot of teams in this league that normally do a lot of zone, but I can't see that with Ramos. Ramos, I'm going to see him do a lot of two-man, basically cover two. So I'm definitely interested to see how this is going to go. Maybe some bit with press coverage, bump and run, anything possible to get those cornerbacks thriving in that defensive scheme. Now I remember he used to go with two safeties, so this is a little bit of an homage going on with him going on with two cornerbacks. The running backs, I'm not surprised he's sticking with a gold running back. I mean, with Ramos, he's a running back whisperer. As far as I'm concerned, he can use any running back, any tier he wants, and no one can say a damn thing about it. So as far as I'm concerned, with him going with a gold running back, it's gonna be scary. So I keep my eyes peeled on that. Um, other than that, the rest of his build is pretty good. I mean, I'm gonna switch to the San Diego Bulldogs. The San Diego Bulldogs, I mean, their build is pretty damn good. Like you said, the silver. I'm sorry, not silver. The gold strong safety. Almost everybody is going with a gold strong safety this time around. I mean, you got the Bulldogs, of course. You got the Outlaws. You got the Winnipeg Crusaders. You got most of these teams. They're going with the idea that the gold strong safety is you can't mess with that. So I love how they're sticking with that as well. The gold quarterback and gold wide receiver is definitely interesting to see what's gonna happen with that tandem right there. So um pretty much there's not much else I have to say. I mean his build is pretty damn good. There's hardly much of anything that I can really criticize about it outside of the fullback position because I'm wondering if he's just gonna be there for blocking or is he actually gonna be involved in some fullback dives, to try to pick up a crucial first down, in a third and inches or something like that. So other
Yeah.
than that, I don't have much of an issue. I mean, this division could be low key tough, especially if Ramos can get those two cornerbacks to work out. Now, like I said, do not be surprised if you see any man coverage coming from Ramos. He has the cornerbacks to do it, and those cornerbacks they most likely had the speed to do it as well. They had the speed coverage, press coverage. He can do whatever the hell he wants on defense because of those two cornerbacks alone. They open up the defensive playbook quite a lot for you to do anything. So that's why gold cornerbacks they're about to be the norm now in this league, right along with the strong safeties and the running backs and stuff.
So your official prediction to win this division is who?
It's going to be Arizona until further notice because I can't see anybody overthrowing them. But I do see a wild card team between San Diego and Tokyo though. Make no mistake.
Well, for those who came in late, since we've covered all four, if you would go over your division winners, who you have.
Let me go back. My South Division winner, I had it as Tampa Bay. My North Division winner, I had it as Chicago. My East Division winner, unbiasedly, I said Baltimore. My biased one, obviously, I'm gonna say me. My West Division winner, I said Arizona.
And I agreed with you on Arizona in the West. I also agreed with you with Baltimore in the East. In the South, I took Dallas. And in the North, I'm taking Winnipeg. So, for those of you not understanding the playoff system we're running, we're going to have 4 division winners. Okay, and then there's going to be wild cards. So, in each conference, you're going to have 2 wild cards and 2 division winners, giving us 4 teams that make the playoff. So, there's only 8 teams, but half the teams are going to make the playoffs, which makes it fun. So, the wild cards are going to be simple. Best record. They're going to get in. If there's a tie, it goes to head-to-head. If there's a tie on the head-to-head, because remember, you're going to play everybody twice, regardless if they're in your division, because you're playing your conference twice. So head-to-head record is going to be the first tiebreaker after record. If it's still tied, it's going to be the points scored. After points scored, it's going to be points allowed. God forbid all that's a tie. The only option left is to flip a coin unless the community wants to come up with a better solution. I'm open for that. So that being said, in the North, you got Chicago, and in the South, you got Tampa Bay. Which two teams? I'm sorry, the North, I just totally went out of whack. In the South, you've got, now we're going to do the North first. Yeah, in the North, you got Chicago, and in the West, because that's the Pacific, you got Arizona. So you got Chicago and Arizona in the playoffs. Who are your wild cards out of that Pacific Conference?
My wild cards could potentially be. It could potentially be coming from the West. Let's be honest, because I could see the West absolutely outplaying the North. I mean, it could potentially be San Diego and Tokyo right then and there. So it could be that, or if I had to choose out of the North, it could be Winnipeg or Green Bay. So,
Well, you get two teams. Who are the teams that are going to join Arizona and Chicago in the playoffs?
does it have to be by each division, or it could be by like both division? I
It
mean,
don't
both in the
matter.
same division.
Remember,
Okay, then
three
okay,
teams. Three teams can make the playoffs from one division. That's possible.
that's what I'm saying. So I could see it most likely being San Diego and Tokyo, but like by default.
All right,
It's
so
crazy. It's crazy because did we talk about Denver at all?
we did.
We did.
Yeah, we did. Not
Okay,
a
okay,
lot. Not a lot.
okay, okay,
I mean, but
okay.
Mark talks about his team enough for all of us. So,
Yeah, okay. Oh, but yeah, I can see it. I mean, like, unless Denver proves me wrong, I can see it being San Diego and Tokyo, like, by default. Cause those are, in my opinion, the two toughest teams, especially the two toughest teams that Mark has to deal with now. It's a matter of how it's going to get done. So,
right,
that right there is just about it.
right. So okay. So you're gonna take Tokyo and San Diego. My question to you then is, which team's gonna have the better record out of those two teams?
Ooh, that's actually hard. Hmm. I, uh, I think for Tokyo's sake, they might have the better record because I don't think they're gonna want to face the Outlaws 3 times a year. If anything, I mean it's bad enough they're already facing them now. But if there's any team I want to see that I think has the potential opportunity to even overthrow Arizona, it'll have to be Tokyo. Now San Diego, they could go up there and face them too. So
Well, then it leads me to this: out of
I guess
Arizona, and Chicago, who you got having the better record?
period. Arizona, Chicago. I'm gonna have to go Arizona.
Okay.
I'm serious. Until further notice, until teams start taking down Arizona, I'm gonna have to go with them.
Uh,
So, you know, I mean, you saw it last year what they did. They only lost 1 game. They have yet to lose 5 games. So until they start losing at least 5 games, then that's when I'll start being like, okay, this is who I think is gonna be able to. This is who I think gonna take what in that conference.
okay.
So I mean, like by experience, you have to go with Arizona.
Well, I'm going to touch on my predictions for this division. Um, I'm saying Arizona and Winnipeg are going to win the divisions in the Pacific. I think the number one wild card team is going to be Denver. I'm going with Denver, a team you did not pick. So I'm picking Denver to be the higher of the two wild cards. And just because of the build that he's got, and I like the build the most, this is mostly why I'm going with the build that he has. And I know he's listened to me a lot, and I feel like I at least know a little something in this game. I'm going to go with San Diego to be the other wild card. So you and I are both going with the West, getting 3 teams in. It just varies who it's going to be. So just to recap, you're going to have Arizona, Chicago, Tokyo, and San Diego in that order. I got Arizona, Winnipeg, Denver, San Diego in that order. So it takes us over to the Atlantic. All right. Where over in the Atlantic, you had who was it now that you had in the Atlantic winning the divisions? In the north, in the south, you had Tampa Bay, correct? And
Yes.
Baltimore. So out of
Uh,
Tampa Bay and Baltimore, who's got the better record?
Baltimore will have the better record. Well.
I
No, fuck that. I'm going to say
actually,
Tampa Bay. I'm going to say Tampa Bay because I'm giving Baltimore a little bit too much credit. Um, I will say some breaking news outside of the IFL for one moment. Buffalo Wild Wings just got bought by RB, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, Other than that, I'm gonna have to say Tampa Bay. Biasly, I'm gonna have to say Tampa Bay.
so you're picking who to have the better record? Tampa Bay.
Yes, Tampa Bay. Biasly.
Okay. See, I'm going to say this because I picked Dallas to win their division. I'm honestly picking Dallas to have a better record than Baltimore just because of the simple fact I think the East is going to be a tougher division, and Baltimore is going to be playing tougher teams as a whole. And because of that, that'll hurt the overall record more than Dallas. So that's why I went that route.
Yeah, sorry, TJ. I had to do you dirty there. I mean, if Ed was here, he'll pretty much say the exact same thing. I mean, biasly, he's gonna have to go with Tampa Bay.
I think TJ will agree 100% with what we just said too.
Exactly.
So that being said, what are the two wild card teams in your opinion that come out of the Pacific Conference? I'm sorry, the Atlantic Conference. So this is going to be out of the South and the East. Who makes the playoffs? Who will be the 3 seed? Who will be the 4 seed?
East. Period. Doesn't matter who at this point. I mean, like. Come on now. You cannot sit there and tell me that the East would not absolutely. I mean, like, I hate sounding like an asshole with this, but it has to be done. You cannot sit there and tell me that the East would not absolutely overthrow the South. You cannot sit there and tell me that they would. I mean, the New York Cobras in the flight. If Baltimore was to take the whole division, you cannot sit there and tell me that they wouldn't absolutely overthrow the East. Period. I mean, overthrow the South. Period. I mean, the only team that has the potential chance, the only two teams that have potential chance of doing that is Atlanta and Dallas, and I can't see them doing it. Now, maybe we'll find out come this season if that'll be the case. If some South teams actually do, hang around with the East. But as of right now, you cannot tell me that the East will not be going in the wild card. 3 out of the 4 teams will be going to the wild card. Well, they will be going to playoffs. So, you know, that's how I see it.
Well, I'll give you my prediction on that in a minute.
Somebody gonna be facing who?
So if you're going with 2 East teams, which team are you not picking? So you got New York, you got Philadelphia, and you got Boston. Who are you leaving out?
Boston.
So who gets the 3 seed? New York or Philadelphia?
Philadelphia.
Okay. So you got this.
So it's gonna be Boston versus New York, and like, yeah, like, now I'm playing, but yeah, that's basically how I see it. I mean, like, I
Well,
don't
here's
see
my
how it
wild
really
cards.
matters at the end of the day, really, because don't the two wild card teams are gonna have to face each? I mean, the wild card teams are going to have to face each other, right?
No, the number 4 seed, which would be the second wild card, they're going to take on the number 1 seed that won the division.
Oh, never mind.
And then the number 3 seed takes on the number 2 team, which is the other division winner. So you got Tampa Bay, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York. I've got Dallas over Baltimore for the number 1 seed just because of what I said about the division being tougher. My 3 seed, I got being Philadelphia. So my 4th seed, I had to ask myself, is it going to be Boston or New York like you? But then I thought about it and said, you know what? I cannot put Tampa Bay on the shelf. Tampa Bay is going to be the other wild card for me out of the South.
Wow, that would be interesting.
So I got Dallas, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Tampa Bay. So to recap this, is we're going to give these guys our full freaking predictions. So since we're on the Atlantic, here's what you got: Tampa Bay, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York. So you've got New York going to Tampa Bay in the opening round of the playoffs. Who wins that game?
That's a good question. God damn. I mean, hell, let's be honest. That could potentially be game of the year right there, just with those two facing each other. I mean, shit. Ooh.
So what you got?
I'm gonna need some time with this one. Oh man.
Well, as you think about that one, you realize the other game that you're going to have to think about out of the Atlantic is you got Philadelphia going to Baltimore.
Mm.
That's your two playoff games out of the Atlantic.
That's gonna be a crazy. Those gonna be crazy playoff games right there. I mean, damn. I'm gonna take New York to beat Tampa Bay,
Okay.
and of course you already know with me, I'm gonna have to take my team to beat Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore. I mean, we beat them before. Uh, I mean, like, like, you can beat them again. I mean, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, man. I mean, like, we talking about the Philadelphia New York rivalry in the East. It's about to be a Baltimore Philadelphia rivalry in the East if this keeps up. I'm telling you. I mean, like, I'm telling you, TJ's gonna push me. I'm gonna push him. I mean, like, no joke. The rivalries in the East, it's not. It's gonna be crazy.
So you got both wild card teams, by the way, winning in the playoffs out of the Atlantic.
Yes.
Now, see, I got Tampa Bay going to Dallas, and I'm going to take Dallas to win that game. And then I got Philadelphia going to Baltimore, like you do, and I'm taking Baltimore to win that game.
Yep, you got two number one teams advancing forward, but hey, it's not that far off to think of two wild card teams that could potentially slip by. I mean, like, it's happened before. I mean, like, it's happened before in the NFL. Trust me, it's happened before. Two wild card teams being the number one team, and then they go on to face each other.
Well, let's go over to the Pacific. Based on your predictions, you are going to have San Diego at Arizona.
Yep,
So who you got coming out of that game?
Arizona.
He's got San Diego at Arizona. He's got Arizona.
Until I'm telling you, until further notice, I'm going with Arizona.
Okay. And then you got
I would
Tokyo.
love for these owners. I would love for these teams to shut me up. But until
Now
further
this
notice, I'm going with Arizona.
now this game I like. You got Tokyo at Chicago. And the reason why I say I like this game is because Tokyo's got two gold corners. Chicago's got two gold wide receivers. So who wins that game? Tokyo or Chicago? And I'm gonna tell everybody now,
Tokyo.
it's in Chicago. So
Tokyo.
what's the weather gonna be like in Chicago?
Oh Jesus Christ! It's gonna be
I'm,
snow all over the place.
I mean, it could be. It's gonna be February, March, so we shall see. But you're taking Tokyo?
Yes, I'm taking Tokyo.
Okay, so you've got Tokyo traveling to Arizona.
I mean, like, isn't it rainy over there in Tokyo anyway as we speak? Don't they get snow?
I think so. So here's what I got. Like you, I got San Diego at Arizona. And I'm going to take Arizona because, like you've been saying. Then we've got Denver at Winnipeg. And that's two cold weather teams. So if it's really cold come late February, March, where we're at in the season, it ain't going to make much of a difference, except Winnipeg plays in the dome. So the weather will be non-existent for them.
Exactly.
So when I look at these two teams, I really have to debate where I'm going to go. And it's been hard for me to really debate this because I've had these predictions now wrote down for about a week. And I'm just going to have to go with Denver.
Okay.
So
Wait. Does Denver play in the dome too?
No.
Oh my God. Chicago and Denver in a wild card? Jesus Christ.
So that leads us to this.
That's cold ass weather conditions.
In the Atlantic, you've got the New York Cobras at the Philadelphia Flight. Who wins?
I gotta say me. I mean, like, biasly, you have to say me. I have to say me. I'm sorry. You can't expect me to unbiasedly say New York.
All right. Then you got my pick of in the Atlantic, Baltimore at Dallas. I am picking Baltimore to beat Dallas.
Okay.
So when we go over to the Pacific, here's what we got for you. In the Pacific Conference, you have Tokyo at Arizona. Who's going to win?
Oh.
About 2 minutes ago, you just said you're not going to go against Arizona until someone proves you different.
Yeah, I mean, like, I might have to go with them. I
So you're
mean,
taking
yeah,
them again.
Arizona is the only team that. I mean, I'm sorry, Tokyo is the only team that beat them, but that
Right.
was an entirely different build at the time. So now it's a brand new build. So I'm wondering, like, okay, how's this gonna work out? How you gonna stop that running back? But right now, I have to go. I still have to go with Arizona.
Right. So when I look at mine now, I got Denver at Arizona in the Pacific. I've got Denver and Arizona in the Pacific. I'm picking Denver.
Wait, what?
I'm picking Denver.
To beat?
Arizona in the Pacific Championship game.
Wow! I would
And
like to
here's
hear the reasoning behind this.
here's what I'm going to say. I will not be surprised if Arizona beats Denver both times in the regular season. But in my experience of playing this video game and doing this kind of stuff with guys in this league, there's one guy I've noticed for me who always makes amazing adjustments, and it's Mark Chisholm. He's very good at making adjustments. I've seen his team get clobbered and then play a team again and beat the shit out of them the same way. I don't see that much out of other teams. So I can see him losing both games and then finally say, you know what? This is what I got to do. And at the end of the day, I just cannot see him losing 3 times in one season to the same team. And as good as Arizona is, that's why I can see them winning both games early. So I can't see it happening. So I've got Denver going to the Victory Bowl against Baltimore.
Oh my god! So it's not going to be a rematch of last year.
Right. Now
Okay.
remember our championship game this year is in Arizona because they won the title last year. So you've got Philadelphia playing Arizona in Victory Bowl 2 in Arizona.
Shit.
Do they repeat?
No.
Wait a minute. 2 minutes ago, you're not picking against
I'm
Arizona
sorry. I'm
until someone
sorry.
proves it. Where
I'm
did
sorry.
Philadelphia prove it?
Oh my god. Oh.
Oh no.
I'm sorry, but you can't expect me to go against my own team, bruh. You can't. I'm not going against my own team.
All right. Let the chat room know. Again, we're moments away from breaking news once we finish these predictions.
Oh my god.
Just to give you a heads up, I'm going to be sending you what you need on Slack here in just a moment.
Because as soon as I get it, I'm getting right to work on it.
All right. So you've got Philadelphia winning the championship against Arizona.
Possibly.
Possibly. You just said it. Oh, man.
Maybe.
All right. So that gives me Baltimore and Denver. That gives me Baltimore, Denver. And then this is also something I thought about. I never did mention. It's not really that big a deal. I do want to mention how, like in the NFL, because we always talk, we want to do realism, how in the NFL they rotate each year if the AFC or the NFC wears their home or away jerseys.
Yes.
I figured since Arizona won the championship last year and they're in the Pacific, whoever represents the Pacific will be the home team for this season
Okay.
in the championship game. And then next year it'll be Atlantic, then back to Pacific, and we'll go back and forth.
Okay.
I just figured that makes the most sense. I can't see anybody arguing with me on that one. So that's where it's going to be. So you've got Arizona at Arizona in their home unis losing to Philadelphia. And I've got Denver in their home unis in Arizona playing Baltimore. And I think this is where TJ gets his championship. And I'm going to take the Baltimore Bulls to win it. And that'll be nice for TJ because he won't have to have any postal issues. He can send the trophy to himself because he does have the trophy for this year's champion. In case anybody forgot. I think I froze up.
No, you didn't.
Okay. Everybody got quiet and there was no discussion. My shit wasn't moving.
Oh, don't worry
So
about it. Echo.
I can't even get my tab to open up so I can mute myself when I'm not talking. And all I know is it's god awfully hot in my apartment again. My wife likes to go to bed when I'm fall. Once I fall out, she likes to go over to the damn thermostat and crank that shit up to like 73 and shit and sweat me out.
Damn.
And then the apartment stays hot all damn day. And then if I open up the damn door or the windows, it gets cold real quick. And then I can't get it to be comfortable. So
Yeah, I'm pretty much ready for the announcement you have.
Okay. I am sending you that now, so you have it. So it's been sent. All right, now I'm checking the chat. Now here's where we're at. I don't know how many guys are still in the chat or not, because I know we get a lot of people in there, and if you're not talking and typing, it doesn't register you as watching, which is really freaking odd. So that being said, we're going to the breaking news. And everybody, you can get ready for this. I know, Chris, we discussed the idea of 7 and 9. I'm changing that to 6 and 8 just because we can. On the heels of the prediction show, we figure we're going to make today very, very eventful. The preseason will begin tonight with a doubleheader. One game will start at 6. The other game will start at 8. And if the first game's not over by 8, then the second game will start shortly after the first one ends. Chris is not 100% sure on his schedule, so there's a chance the game he runs will be on record. The game I'm going to run will be live, just for the sake of argument, so we didn't have no bias on which games were being picked and not being picked. I just randomly numbered all the games and had Chris pick a number, and the number he got gave us the games for tonight. So it's kind of ironic the games we got, considering the guys who've been very active with us here today. So that being stated, the 6 o'clock game will be run 100% for sure live. Okay, 100% for sure live tonight, so everybody knows. And that game at 6 o'clock is going to be the Baltimore Bulls at the Tampa Bay Stallions. So that game will be live at 6 o'clock, no ifs, ands, or buts as far as on the live. The 8 o'clock game, again, could be live, could be on a tape. And that game is going to be from the Pacific Conference, and it will be the Denver Yeti at the Detroit Hawks. So we're going to have 2 games, one from the Atlantic, one from the Pacific. So I know we got some guys that are in the chat. And I know we had TJ. I know we had Alex. I know we had Mark. And that's 3 of the 4 guys whose teams we're going to be running today. So see if we get any response out of those guys. Now I want to touch on a question I've been getting from Alex about weather. Whether we're going to do this. Here's how the weather works, guys. We're going to check the weather of the city that's playing. So wherever the home game is, if it's not a dome, we're going to check the weather in that city at that moment. And whatever the weather is in that city at that moment is what we're going to put in the game. So if it's raining, we're going to adjust it to rain. If it's snowing, it will be snow. If it's just clear skies, it's going to be clear skies. We're going to go in the game and give it the most comparable weather we can to what's going on in real life. Per the case where we always say we want realism here. You know, this is the only league you're going to join anywhere that has 100% realism. We do everything as real as possible. The only thing we don't really do that's real is the injuries. You guys know why that is. I'm still trying to figure out a way to do that. I'm hoping I can do that. So, that's how that goes. So, to give you guys a heads up, there will be games tomorrow by me for sure. I'm going to run a game again tomorrow. As to which game that is, I'm not 100% sure. I got to figure that out. And it's not really like it's going to matter. It's going to randomly pick one. So my goal personally is to run at least one game a day for the next 4 days. So all the games are done by Friday evening. That's my hope. That's my goal. And most of the games are going to be run in the evening. So talking like 6, 7 o'clock area, maybe no later than 8. Like I said, the original plan was to run the games tonight at 7 and 9. But I figured 9 might be a little too late for some guys. So we're going to jump into 6 Eastern and 8 Eastern. So again, it's 6 o'clock You're going to have Baltimore, Tampa Bay live. And then at 8 o'clock, it could be live or on a tape delay. It'll be the Denver Yeti at the Detroit Hawks. So get ready for that, gentlemen.
Yep.
So the season is now here, 100%. Because preseason has to start, and here we are. Now, playbooks. I've been asked this a couple times about playbooks. Playbooks are going to be due before the end of the day every single week by Tuesday. So games are going to be on Fridays and Saturdays. You're going to have all day Sunday, all day Monday, and pretty much as much time as you need on Tuesday. It's 3 days to get them done. And the main reason why that is because I'm off Tuesday nights. This way, when playbooks come in late on Tuesday, I can get up early Wednesday and install all playbooks Wednesday and get them to Chris, because where my job is, we're shorthanded. So I'm working an extra day a week now. So Wednesday through Saturday, I'm at work. So I'll be working Fridays and Saturday nights right now, which is normally when we're supposed to be doing games. So I'm going to be sucking that up for the season, but I don't care. But I at least want to be able to install playbooks because that's the most tedious part. So playbooks will be due by Tuesday. Now, from preseason to regular season, you get to make 15 play changes on each side of the ball. So you can change 15 offensive plays and 15 defensive plays. And once the season begins, from week 1 to week 2, those numbers will jump to 25. So you get to make as many as 25 changes on each side of the ball. But from preseason playbook, it's just going to be 15. So I hope you guys are ready. Hope you guys are excited. I know I am. And I had to finish the Nashville Nightmares playbook just today because there were some errors in the playbook. Nothing really to get into. Honest mistake. We got it all squared away and fixed. So I got to finish fixing his, which I'll be doing as soon as I get off the air here. But it's gonna be interesting. So I'll try and get Ed's predictions since I know you guys were interested in those. Or maybe next time I get a podcast going, Ed can be a part of it. I can just go over his predictions with him. We can take a few minutes for him to drop his. But based here on the show tonight, gentlemen, you got from Mr. Chris Davis, the Chris Davis-owned Philadelphia Flight winning the Victory Bowl against the Arizona Outlaws, and I've had the Baltimore Bulls winning the Victory Bowl against the Denver Yeti. Very interesting. I know I've caught people off guard by putting Denver in the championship and not Arizona. I know I caught some of you guys off guard by picking Winnipeg to win the North. It's just I'm going with a hunch on some of these picks because God knows all our predictions today could be absolutely wrong, all of them. Arizona could end up being the worst team in the league this year for all we know.
Exactly.
So it's going to be interesting. So as far as the games go tonight, you got Baltimore and Tampa Bay, the two teams that were predicted to win their divisions. That's why they're playing. And Denver playing Detroit, the two teams that were predicted to finish last in their division based on the overall predictions of the community. So with those two games, is there anything about either game that you are interested in seeing?
Both of them. Really, both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little interested in it just for the simple fact that I was with Tampa Bay. That was going to be my pick out of the South for a long time. I changed my opinion today to Dallas, just because of some slight variations in the build once I thought about things. But I can see Tampa Bay and Baltimore this game, even though it's preseason. I can see this being a preview of the Atlantic Championship. I could see that. Okay. This could be the preview of the Atlantic Championship game here in preseason. And it's going to be mighty curious as to which one comes out on top of this, because the reality of it is if Tampa Bay wins this game in a landslide, even though it's preseason, that might show us a lot of what's going to happen in the regular season.
I agree.
So, I'm just interested, like Scott South, the free safety. To me, he's going to be key tonight. I'm just pointing that out now. And Scott South plays for Baltimore. And as far as Denver and Detroit goes, we're going to get our first look at Denver and our first look at Detroit ever. And we're going to get a first look at this team that's got no corners. They've got no corners. And their secondary as a whole isn't exactly strong. And Denver has a gold quarterback and two silver wide receivers. So we'll see what happens in that matchup. But I'm going to say this. If Detroit beats Denver, does that say anything to you? Does that make you go, oh shit, real quick?
Kind of does, yeah.
I mean, everybody's going to say it's just preseason, it don't matter. But here's the facts, gentlemen. This does matter. Preseason in this league matters for the simple fact of these are the legit builds. These are the legit playbooks. These are the legit everything. And just because it's preseason, the only thing that doesn't matter is the win and the loss in this game. But everything else shows us clearly what's happening in this league.
I agree.
So if you ain't got nothing else to say,
I ain't got nothing else to say.
yeah, we can wrap this one up. This was episode 48 here this afternoon. So next episode will be Inside the IFL, episode 49. So we're closing in on 50. So I'd like to have episode 50 next week before the season starts. So if everything goes according to plan, I'm going to do 2 podcasts before the season starts next week. Because I'd like to get together with Ed and do a podcast just before we kick off to start the season next week. That'd be great. So, but anyway, like I said, for everybody's been in the chat, appreciate you guys showing up and getting involved. Don't forget to spread the word to guys who weren't here. I think you already posted on Slack, if I'm not mistaken.
I did.
So that's going to be cool. So, again, Baltimore at Tampa Bay, 6 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, Denver at Detroit. So, buckle up. The season begins now, even though it's preseason. So, we're going to learn a lot about 4 teams tonight. And then the other 12 teams will be later in the week. So, Chris, if you got no other comment, we're going to be out of here, man.
I ain't got none. I'm actually about to work on the preseason right now.
All right, cool.
I'm gonna actually put on my touches on it just for testing. So
right,
I'm gonna try it from there. Now, if possible, I could. Well, honestly, if you want me to, I could actually do the preseason game now because I don't mind doing it early because normally preseason games start this early. They don't normally start late. So that's entirely up to you.
Hey, like I said, it's whatever. But
because I actually do want to test something. I do want to test some things out, and I want to see if it all works the same way like how it worked last year.
Right. Oh, I want to point this out as far as these games go. Whether it's your team or not, gentlemen, please look at the game. Make sure you don't see any errors. I've been running some tests with all 16 teams. I have yet to come across elephant face. I've yet to come across any dupe numbers anymore because I did at one time. I took care of those. So if you do see anything that's like, oh, shit, that shouldn't be the case, let me know so I can get those things fixed because this will be our last chance for it to fix. I mean, we can do it from week 1 to week 2 and vice versa, but I'd like to have everything cleared and organized before week 1 so we're good to go.
Yep. Same here.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. So I appreciate you joining me here on last minute notice. And then, again, for everybody who was in the chat room, appreciate it. Games will be starting today. So for Chris Davis, this is Doug Bose. This was Inside the IFL, and we'll catch your ass down the road. Later.
Later.